You know, when you click on a massively popular YouTube channel today, there's a very specific expectation of like engineering.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's totally algorithmic.
Right. You click a thumbnail and the pacing is just frantic. The cuts are flawless. Every single dead moment is trimmed out.
Yeah, you know exactly what kind of dopamine hit you're about to get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then you step into the world of the comedy channel SuperMega, and that whole hyper-optimized algorithm just completely shatters.
It really does. It's like they're playing a completely different game.
So today, for you listening, we're taking a massive stack of transcripts from the comedy duo Matt and Ryan, and we're trying to figure out how two guys talking about crotch-hugging a Pickle Rick plush toy,
Yeah.
creating totally fake improv rules, and aggressively screaming at a children's checkers game somehow captured an audience of millions.
It sounds absurd when you list it out like that.
It does. But we aren't here to just recap what happens in their videos. Our mission today is to put the channel itself under the microscope. We're going to really critique their comedy dynamic, their content quality, their consistency, and figure out what actually makes this messy, disjointed format work.
And where it completely falls flat.
Mm-hmm.
Because it definitely does sometimes.
For sure.
So to really understand SuperMega, you have to look past that surface level absurdity. Because what we're analyzing here is it's a highly evolved, deeply complex comedy engine.
Okay, an engine. I like that.
Yeah, and it intentionally breaks the rules of modern content creation. They've essentially mastered this very specific parasocial dynamic.
Right, that illusion where you, like, sitting at home, feel like you genuinely know them.
Exactly. You feel like you're part of their friend group, even though it's, a completely one-way street.
Yeah.
But engineering that kind of intimacy comes with massive risks, especially when it comes to technical consistency and, honestly, making the content accessible to anyone who isn't already a hardcore fan.
Which is a huge barrier to entry. But before we can critique the channel's overall appeal, I think we really need to dissect the actual engine running it.
Their conversational dynamic.
Yes.
Wow.
Because based on these transcripts, it seems like their entire comedy relies on this aggressive, almost hostile version of the classic yes and improv rule.
That's a great way to put it.
But they push it so far past its logical breaking point that they've literally started inventing fake academic concepts to justify it to each other.
Like gigglenomics.
Yes, gigglenomics. And they tell each other to brace for improv as if they're citing some, like, prestigious comedic theory.
Right. When in reality, they are just preparing to completely derail whatever conversation they're having.
Exactly. Their banter is like a high-level jazz performance, but instead of instruments, they're playing with middle school bathroom humor and bizarre pop culture references.
That derailment is actually the core mechanism of their comedy. Because in traditional improv, the cardinal rule is you never shut down your partner's premise.
You take what they give you and you build on it.
Exactly. But what Matt and Ryan have invented is a technique they lovingly call the no.
The no and. Just fundamentally breaking the golden rule of comedy.
Literally. The no and is designed to deliberately destroy a bit. But not to end the joke. It's to aggressively force the conversation into an entirely new, completely unearned direction.
Just purely for the sake of creating friction.
Yes.
The mechanics of that are so wild. It's like they're playing a game of ping pong, right? But instead of hitting the ball back to keep the rally going, one of them just catches the ping pong ball, pops it with a needle, and hurls a 10-pound bowling ball across the table instead.
That is exactly what it feels like.
There's this moment in the transcripts that captures this perfectly. One of them tries to start a very standard, totally mundane scene. He just says, "Man, it's raining cats and dogs out here."
Classic setup.
Right. And the response isn't to play along. The response is just this flat, deadpan, "No, it's not. That's just water. I think something's wrong with your head."
It's so combative.
It is. And instead of laughing it off, they sit there and intensely argue about whether that response legally constitutes a no and or just a mean-spirited yes and.
They get so semantic about it.
They really do. And then they try it again, right, with a premise about working in an ice cream parlor in the North Pole.
Oh, I remember this.
The shutdown is immediate. It's this long, deeply logical lecture about how they are actually inside a dome and the air conditioning is simply on.
It is the absolute definition of anti-comedy. And they're taking a tiny, completely mundane thread and spinning it into a massive 10-minute bit entirely based on the friction of the conversation itself.
Yeah.
The humor isn't in the punchline at all.
No.
The humor is in the sheer stubborn willpower of refusing to cooperate.
Right.
And they combine that stubbornness with this rapid oscillation between real life and absolute absurdity.
Yeah, oscillation is constant. Because in one breath, they're sharing a totally normal real-life anecdote, right, like about Matt's pet corn snake, Lenny.
Oh yeah, talking about the logistics of feeding it frozen mice. Very standard pet owner stuff.
Totally normal. But within seconds, the reality just completely dissolves. Suddenly, they're locked in a fierce, genuinely heated debate about whether a snake would eat tiny quail-sized deviled eggs.
Made with mustard and mayonnaise.
Right. If someone happened to just leave them sitting on a picnic table, they argue about this so passionately.
That psychological friction right there is what holds the viewer's attention.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is they apply that exact same friction to the video games they play.
Oh, absolutely.
They mine incredible amounts of comedy from aggressively overcommitting to mundane situations. Like, look at how they approach a children's point-and-click computer game. Like putt-putt.
Wait, okay, so they take a game designed for actual toddlers and put this hyper-competitive esports lens on it.
Yes. They're playing a minigame of checkers inside a putt-putt game against an AI named Fatty Bear.
Fatty Bear.
Fatty Bear. And they don't treat it with a sense of irony or like gentle mockery. They treat it like they are in the finals of a high-stakes million-dollar tournament.
I can just picture it.
They are aggressively cursing at the screen, calling this cartoon bear a piece of garbage, plotting out complex naval blockades for a basic game of checkers.
Wow.
And then celebrating a win in a simple matching game as if they just won the Super Bowl. The juxtaposition of intense adult aggression directed at preschool media is the entire joke.
Okay, but honestly, I'm listening to this description of them arguing over deviled eggs for 20 minutes or screaming at a cartoon bear, and it sounds completely exhausting. Like, at what point does the audience just tune out because the bit has gone on way too long?
Well,
Because it feels like this constant need to one-up each other or sustain the friction of no, and would eventually alienate a listener who just wants a straightforward punchline.
I get that. But that exhaustion you're pointing out, that is actually a feature, not a bug for their specific audience.
Really? A
Yeah.
feature?
Yeah. For a casual viewer, sure, the relentless commitment to the bit is tiring because it demands your full active attention to track all those layers of irony. But for their core audience, the longer a bit is dragged out, the funnier it becomes through sheer attrition.
Wow.
It's basically a comedy of endurance.
A comedy of endurance. Okay, well, if that friction and endurance form the engine of their comedy, then their shock humor has to be the fuel.
Oh, 100%.
Because looking at what they actually joke about reveals a lot about why their fans feel so rabidly connected to them. I mean, we are talking about deeply absurd, highly inappropriate, boundary-pushing topics.
Nothing is off limits.
Right. In one segment, they are debating the physical logistics of using chewing dip as a sexual lubricant right after going for a run.
It's so gross.
In the next, they're joking about actor Armie Hammer's alleged cannibalism, or casually discussing the certification meme.
And we should probably clarify what that meme even is for context.
Good idea.
So certification was this bizarre AI meme trend where people were generating images of characters being painfully transformed into literal geometric circles.
Just internet nonsense.
Pure nonsense. But they treat it with utter seriousness on the show.
Exactly. They discuss it as if it's a pressing cultural issue. And they even jokingly propose doing a 25th anniversary special for 9/11.
No.
The crass, unfiltered nature of their conversation is just relentless. But to me, the most shocking part isn't what they say during the gameplay.
Right.
It's that they refuse to quarantine this behavior. They weave this exact same tone directly into their sponsor ad reads for major companies, like Hims, Shopify, Factor Meals.
And this is where their understanding of the parasocial dynamic really shines. Because in the traditional advertising world, bleeding shock humor into a sponsor read is a disaster.
It breaks all the brand safety guidelines.
Totally.
They will literally transition from a bit where one of them is pantomiming, crotch-hugging a Pickle Rick plush toy,
Which is insane.
directly into a sincere, scripted read about affordable care for erectile dysfunction and hair loss, without missing a single beat or drop in character.
And it works. It actually works because it psychologically signals authenticity to a millennial and Gen Z audience.
An audience that is hyper-aware of being marketed to.
Exactly. That generation has grown up with relentless marketing. So by treating the sponsor reads with the exact same irreverence and messiness as the rest of the show, Matt and Ryan signal to the audience that they haven't sold out.
They're still just the boys.
Right. It creates the illusion of completely private, consequence-free hangout. The listener feels like they're sitting on a dirty couch with two best friends who have absolutely zero filter, even when corporate money is on the line.
It definitely feels intimate. I mean, they even invent these elaborate psychological scenarios purely to make each other jealous on mic.
Oh, the fake friend stuff.
Yes. Like pretending a fake friend bought one of them a honey bun just to get a genuine reaction of betrayal out of the other. It perfectly mimics the exact kind of petty sibling dynamic you have with your closest friends.
It really does.
But, okay, building a moat with offensive humor sounds like a terrible business model if you actually want to grow.
Well, sure.
If they're constantly pushing boundaries and refusing to polish their ad reads, doesn't that create a massive ceiling for the channel? At some point, aren't you just actively alienating casual viewers and terrifying potential sponsors?
You are. But that ceiling is entirely intentional.
Intentional.
Yeah. You cannot be a universally beloved mass market creator with 50 million subscribers while simultaneously debating the merits of dipping tobacco as a lubricant.
Fair point.
So by leaning into shock humor and maintaining that unpolished hangout vibe, they willingly sacrifice mass market algorithmic appeal.
They're making a trade.
Exactly. They are trading a casual audience of tens of millions for a hyper-dedicated cult following of a few million. The offensive humor acts as a filter. It keeps the casual viewers out, which makes the hardcore fans feel like they're part of a dangerous, exclusive secret club.
A secret club. Okay, but that intentional ceiling brings up a critical flaw in their entire approach. The same dynamic that locks the hardcore fans in creates an incredibly hostile barrier to entry for anyone new.
It really does.
You have to critique their production quality now because, based on these transcripts, it is, to put it mildly, a train wreck.
Oh, the lack of technical polish is staggering for a channel of their size and tenure. Staggering.
It really is.
The ultimate piece of evidence for this is their gameplay series of a game called I Am Jesus Christ.
Oh man, this is a perfect case study. So they're playing this open world Jesus simulator, and initially they're doing exactly what you'd expect.
Making jokes, doing funny voices.
Right. Running around Nazareth, causing chaos, flipping tables at the temple. It's funny. But behind the scenes, the technical side of their recording setup is completely falling apart.
The computer frame rate is dropping to, like, single digits.
Yes. The game is visibly struggling to run.
Now, in a standard optimized YouTube environment, a creator would pause the recording.
Obviously.
They would troubleshoot the PC, fix the frame rate, restart the game, and present the audience with a clean, seamless video. SuperMega doesn't do that.
Not at all.
They leave the entire technical meltdown in the final product.
They actively complain on microphone to the audience that their computer is chugging and dying. And the irony is just palpable because in another transcript, they spend minutes passionately complaining about how Amazon Prime Video drops to 720p resolution.
Getting all blocky and artifacted.
Exactly. They whine about internet byte rates ruining their viewing experience. Meanwhile, their own video is openly, visibly broken.
Completely broken.
The I Am Jesus Christ series literally ends with a text note from their editor on the screen explaining that the computer blue-screened 3 times.
3 times.
They lost all of their save progress, and so they are just abruptly canceling the entire series. Just like that.
It really highlights a complete disregard for traditional production values. And it also highlights their constant on-air reliance on their editor, Luke.
Poor Luke.
Right. They don't hide the production process behind a curtain at all. They drag the editor into the mud with them, making the behind-the-scenes chaos part of the actual content.
They are constantly begging him on mic to add sound effects or to cut things a certain way to salvage a joke that totally didn't land.
Yeah.
There's this one incredible moment where they are trying to put out an uncensored version of their podcast for their paid Patreon supporters.
Right. But they don't actually have any explicit content to censor.
Exactly. So to manufacture a controversy and make the free YouTube viewers jealous, they demand that Luke open Photoshop, use the pen tool, and draw NSFW anatomical art over the video just so they have something to blur on YouTube and uncensor on Patreon.
It's brilliant in a weird way.
They are literally making their employee manufacture a fake censorship scandal on the spot.
It's a fascinating look at how they weaponize the meta layer of content creation But it also proves how impenetrable this channel is for a newcomer.
So true. Trying to get into Super Mega as a new viewer is like walking into a party 3 hours late where everyone is speaking exclusively in inside jokes.
You have no idea who Luke is.
Right. You don't know why they're demanding he draw things, and you don't understand why the computer crashing is supposed to be funny.
Exactly.
So, looking at this critically, is leaving in a literal computer blue screen a brilliant sign of authenticity that fans love? Or is it just lazy content creation masked as a joke to avoid actually putting in the work?
Well, from a purely critical standpoint, it is undeniably lazy.
Yeah.
It's a failure of production. But from a brand perspective, it is highly effective as a defense mechanism.
How so?
Think about it. In a digital world where everything is meticulously curated and focus grouped, a computer blue screening during a video feels shockingly real.
It breaks the fourth wall.
It signals to the viewer that this relationship is authentic. Because real friends don't put on a flawless performance for you, they just hang out in the mess.
Right.
The risk, however, is that they rely so heavily on the audience's forgiveness for that mess that they stop trying to improve the actual technical quality of the product.
Which brings us to the final verdict of this critique, because we have to weigh these brilliant, improvised comedic highs against the messy, technically flawed lows.
To really understand the overall appeal of SuperMega.
Exactly. Because when the channel works, it is brilliant in its absurdity.
The highs showcase a masterful grasp of observational comedy.
Like when they fiercely debate the logistics of the cartoon SpongeBob SquarePants portraying Santa Claus as a lunatic.
Oh, that was so specific.
It was. And they break down exactly why that legitimately creeped them out as kids. Or when they go on a tangent complaining about how the runtime of modern movies completely ruins their day.
Arguing that if a movie is 2.5 hours long, it steals the daylight.
Right. And leaves them physically disoriented when they walk out of the theater. It's highly relatable, deeply human observational comedy wrapped in absolute nonsense.
But when it fails, it devolves into a disjointed, self-indulgent ramble marred by those technical issues we just discussed.
Yeah.
And the lore they've built is incredibly dense, which works against them just as often as it works for them.
They rely so heavily on referencing hyper-specific childhood memories from South Carolina.
Yes, the regional stuff.
They will spend 10 unedited minutes talking about the cultural difference between the Outback Steakhouse in Harbison, South Carolina versus the ones in Los Angeles.
Or debating the merits of dipping chips into the Area 51 sauce at a local regional sandwich shop called Groucho's Deli.
Exactly. And if you aren't from South Carolina or you haven't watched their videos for 5 years straight, you are entirely left out of the conversation.
Yet that alienation is precisely what makes the content so sticky for the hardcore fans. Understanding the deep lore makes the listener feel like they've earned their place in the club.
It's a badge of honor.
Exactly. And what we're really seeing here is a deliberate rebellion against the modern YouTube landscape.
That's a pretty bold claim. How is leaving in a dead-end conversation about a regional sandwich shop a rebellion?
Well, think about the dominant format on platforms today. It is hyper-edited, high-retention content.
Like Mr. Beast style.
Exactly. Every single second is mathematically designed to keep your finger from clicking away. SuperMega is the antithesis of that algorithmic perfection.
Oh, I see.
By leaving in the dead air, the technical failures, the computer crashes, and the hyper-specific fast food debates, they are actively refusing to play the algorithm's game.
That makes a lot of sense. So I have to ask you, the listener, what makes you stay when a creator's content is this chaotic?
It's a great question.
Are we so starved for genuine human connection that we will gladly sit through a computer blue screen and listen to a 10-minute debate about a sandwich shop we've never been to just to hear two guys laugh at their own terrible jokes?
It heavily suggests that perfection is actually quite isolating.
Isolating.
Yeah. When a video is too perfect, on a subconscious level, that you are a consumer being marketed to.
Right.
But when a video is broken, when it's flawed and meandering, you feel like you're just hanging out with flawed humans.
So synthesizing everything we've looked at today, SuperMega is a channel built on the engine of weaponized improv, taking the rules of conversation and aggressively breaking them to create friction.
Yep.
They utilize shock humor and boundary-pushing topics to create a deeply authentic, albeit incredibly messy, parasocial bond.
And they deliberately sacrifice mass-market polish.
Right. Actively alienating casual viewers in exchange for a rabidly loyal cult following that will gladly listen to them argue about a preschool putt-putt game for an hour.
It is a delicate, chaotic balance. And it leaves us with a provocative thought to consider as we look at the future of media.
Okay, what's that?
Right now, Media is becoming increasingly polished, algorithmically flawless, and increasingly driven by AI generation.
Very true.
We even see this reflected in the transcripts where Matt and Ryan joke about Microsoft trying to bring back Clippy as an AI assistant.
Oh, yeah, Clippy.
Everything in our digital lives is being smoothed out. So as the internet becomes utterly flawless, is the highly imperfect, deeply flawed, and sometimes technologically broken messiness of channels like SuperMega actually becoming the most scarce and therefore the most valuable commodity we have.
Wow. It's a fascinating way to look at it. We came into this deep dive expecting to analyze the surgical precision of modern entertainment.
And instead,
We found a beautiful blue screening mess. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what audiences are craving right now. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.